Across Georgia, thousands of formerly homeless families are currently keeping a roof over their heads through a temporary state assistance program. But that lifeline has a hard expiration date, July 31st, 2026. When funding for these emergency housing vouchers dries up, tenants who haven't secured an alternative subsidy face immediate eviction and a return to the streets. A government initiative built to provide relief has instead started a countdown clock to mass displacement. Looking at this flowchart, you can see the primary legal escape route available to these tenants, moving their voucher from the state-level Department of Community Affairs, or DCA, to a local agency like the Columbus Housing Authority. They have to initiate this transfer, known as porting, before July 1, 2026. Completing this transfer upgrades their temporary emergency voucher into a permanent housing choice voucher, securing their home indefinitely. To start the process, tenants are sending the required email requests to the state, and the state is responding with total silence. The DCA is allegedly failing to forward the essential porting packets to the receiving housing authorities. Without that paperwork, the local agencies cannot absorb the tenants, and the transition freezes completely. Through simple administrative inaction, a state agency is actively blocking families from securing permanent homes. This freeze hits one demographic particularly hard. Many of these voucher holders live with severe disabilities or chronic illnesses, requiring them to stay near specific local medical providers and support networks. The Columbus Housing Authority recognized this. They granted a reasonable accommodation, allowing disabled tenants to immediately transfer their new permanent housing vouchers back to their original county of care. But advocates report the DCA is aggressively blocking these medically necessary vouchers from re-entering their jurisdiction. This map shows the impossible reality created by the blockade. A newly assigned housing jurisdiction can be a 2 to 2.5 hour drive away from a tenant's established doctors and specialized treatment centers. State policies are forcing tenants to choose between keeping their life-saving medical treatments or keeping their housing subsidy. This blockade makes housing stability a direct casualty of medical necessity, placing the burden of administrative failure on those least equipped to travel. Federal law provides specific protections for situations exactly like this, primarily through the Fair Housing Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. If you read the text of Title 24, Code of Federal Regulations, Section 100.204, the mandate is clear. It states it is unlawful to refuse to make reasonable accommodations to afford a handicapped person equal opportunity to use a dwelling. For tenants whose disabilities prevent them from using standard methods like in-person visits or phone calls, email is a legally protected, reasonable accommodation. Ignoring those emails directly violates federal law. Advocacy groups are leveling severe accusations at the DCA, characterizing these actions as systemic housing discrimination that borders on illegal redlining and segregation. Usually, low-income tenants would turn to local legal aid societies for help. However, many of these state-contracted organizations have conflicts of interest that prevent them from suing the DCA, leaving the tenants to fight on their own. These administrative silences and blocked transfers represent a massive, systemic civil rights violation, organized at the state level. To fight back, tenants have to build an airtight case. That starts with obsessive documentation, taking screenshots, saving letters, and logging the exact dates of every ignored email and agency interaction. With evidence in hand, the next step is filing a formal housing discrimination complaint with the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. But for families facing imminent homelessness or mental health crises, the ultimate remedy lies in filing directly in federal court, asking a judge for an emergency injunction to stop the agency's actions immediately. The only reliable way to hold an unresponsive state agency accountable is to pull them into a federal arena, where ignoring the law is no longer an option. Even if tenants win the immediate legal battle, local advocates are pushing for a permanent escape from the housing authority system entirely. The long-term strategy involves leveraging the USDA's Zero-Down Home Loan Program, which is specifically designed to help low and very low-income families achieve homeownership. Preparing for this requires engaging free HUD housing counselors, repairing credit scores, and navigating the extensive paperwork of the home buying process. The physical effort is steep, but the payoff is absolute ownership. Stepping into a home where no landlord or local housing authority has the power to uproot your family. While bureaucratic systems can fail the most vulnerable, tenants who master their legal rights and pursue homeownership can remove the state's power over where they live.